Hello and welcome. We have a specialized interview at this time with the Honorable Commissioner for Education. And today we're just here to discuss on the education infrastructure in Akwa Ibom State and what roles the community should be playing in this infrastructure maintenance. So for the very first time on our set, we are playing host to Honorable Mrs. Idongesit Etiebet, who is the Honorable Commissioner for Education in Akwa Ibom State. She assumed office in January of 2021 and serves till date. Welcome, madam.
Thank you for having me.
Very good to have you here.
Thank you.
Yes, so we know that the Akwa Ibom State government has been doing a lot with regards to education in the state, and then they have helped they've helped a lot with the infrastructure, building, renovating, making available materials for education in the state. Since you are the commissioner, I'd like you to throw just a little bit of light on that.
Thank you again for having me here. First of all, I can't talk about education and the investment. I always call it the huge investment that this government, under the able leadership of His Excellency Mr. Dom Emmanuel, has done without thanking him. So today I want to say thank you, His Excellency, the Governor and your government, for making education free and compulsory, sustaining it. We want to say thank you very much. And talking about infrastructural development, the governor under this government has done a lot of investment. I always say I like using figures. Under the Inter-Ministerial Direct Labor Unit, the government has intervened in, let me use classrooms, 547 classrooms last count has been renovated by this government. Then when you look at the UBEC counterpart funding, where the government provides 50% of the funding, and then the federal government under UBEC provides another 50%, making it 100%. Under that, we have over 600 school blocks and other intervention done by this government. Like I said, it's counterpart funding. So if 50% is from the state, that's to say the state has contributed. The government wants our children to receive learning in a very conducive environment. Even the teachers, they want them to teach in a very conducive environment.
So on Spectrum Television here, we have a community-based program that goes into communities to see the state of things happening there, especially with regards to infrastructure. So one of the infrastructure we are bringing here on the table today is education, because in the past in the past week, we went to certain communities in Orokona. We have Ineni Kwaresien, Inensai, and Inenatai in Orokona local government. Now we have visuals that were brought of very dilapidated buildings, and then there are reports of the students having to sit on the ground, to receive education. And one of the questions I'd like to ask is the state government aware of some of this happening in the very interior local government areas of the state?
There is nothing happening that we don't know. But like I can inform you, what we do is that the monitors will go around all the schools. Like, we have, even in the governor's office, we have education monitors in each of the senatorial districts. So what they do is go to the field, look at the infrastructure, look at the teaching methodologies, the teachers complying strictly with what has been laid out as the methods you should use to teach. What of the infrastructure? Do we have enough teachers in each of the schools you're visiting? So there is a format of a report. So from the report, what we do is, if it has to do with infrastructure, we extract that and do a compilation and send to the governor, who managed it to the interministerial department to intervene. I just want to ask and tell our citizens to be patient with government and to participate as partners in progress in the development of the school infrastructure. I mentioned it, it was 2 weeks ago. Reverend Tia Aitia had his 50th birthday. That's the most recent. That's why I'm remembering that. We were called to come and commission a 6 classroom block he built at Fodokwa Secondary School, a donation on his birthday. So I know that if you want to quantify what government spends yearly as investment in the future of our children is huge. So I'm using this opportunity to call on well-meaning Akwa Ibomites, those that God has extra blessed, to come and use schools to do their corporate social responsibility of giving back to your society. You can do that by donating school desk, even if it's 10.
Okay, that brings me to a question where there are reports where we hear that there are certain schools that government has donated materials to, and then we have members of the community.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Vandalizing those properties.
I think another, aside the numbers that I've mentioned, an issue that is an evil, there's evil that should stop, is the vandalization of school properties. Some outright theft. A situation that, let's say, maybe 200 draft desks are donated to schools. After 6 months, you go back there, you might not find up to 20. This is totally unacceptable. So we are calling on community leaders, village heads, youth leaders to safeguard the properties donated to their schools. These children, I know they are primarily government children, but we, the owners of that society, we train these future leaders, they come and become Mr. Tony Afia. Like he cited Spectrum here. I'm sure this kind of a facility will come to your village and everybody will say, our child. So today, government is calling on you to help train these our children so that in future you can proudly call them our child, our children.
Okay, so on the heel of that, are there measures that the government has put in place to make sure that communities that have received the intervention measures of the government in terms of education are able to safeguard these things that they bring to them? Are the communities going to be held accountable for desk, for materials that are donated to them if things go wrong with them?
Going forward, and we started with the donation. There's this school, Akawon, Birimon, your local government. It was viral on social media. Our children were seated on the floor and all that to receive lessons. I know that we wanted to even donate the seats like 2 weeks before that. I even think that is because we sent for the village. They sent messages to the village head and the youth leader before we knew it was in the social media. It's okay. But that we waited for Honorable Etiebet to be back from his trip before we made the donation, because we wanted to extract commitment from the House member representing Uyo State constituency, from the village council, village head, and especially the youth leader, that they are going to safeguard the new set of desks supplied to that school. Because in year 2020, we had Etoy, 2 primary schools on the way to the airport. They were supplied seats with the same time with that particular school. So then you go to Etoy and the others, their draft desks are safe. And so we are calling on them. We made them to commit. The village head, thank God for village head, they don't know how to lie or to blame government, most of them. You know what the village head said? That he had arrested, we didn't even know that, some of the people, the youth that vandalized the property or that stole the desk. And at that particular school, if you go there, you see the roof sheets. They've removed them. Before I used to think, how does this happen? Until we're told that people will go a school building, you go on top and remove the sheets the roofing sheets to go and sell in the market. I mean, this is totally unacceptable. That a school, I'm not saying stealing is good, but why would you even choose to do it at a school when you should even be contributing to the education of these children? So we are going to be making sure we we get those commitments, but it makes it too cumbersome, sort of that. To take school properties to a school, you now wait until the village head is ready, until you have the youth leader, but we're going to be doing that.
At least to make sure that
Yeah.
subsequently those materials can span up to years.
But you know what I will ask? We, as government, we can ask and extract all those commitments. But today I want to talk to the consciences of all the youths and anybody, even if you're an elder. Because these days, if somebody will be 55, they will still say he's a youth. So I'm talking to anyone that is in this cartel, because I hear it's a cartel. Those that go around stealing submersible pumps, school desk, roofing sheets, you that you're buying. Let your conscience talk to you today to refuse to do this. And even you, the youth, talk to your conscience. Is it very right that you don't want education to be extended to these children that are growing up?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much. I hope members of the community can take up this plea, but I'd like to draw our attention back to the rural communities, because sometimes there is a tendency for it to look like the schools in the metropolitan city get all of the attention more than the communities in the rural areas.
It's not true.
Yeah, okay.
Like I told you, we have different people manning different senatorial districts. Those schools, if you go to every locality in Akwa Ibom State, it might not be in all the schools. There are some intervention going on in those schools. It might not be like now in Rwanda that you just mentioned. We have 75 schools, 15 of that secondary schools. The other, how many? 50. Yes, is primary schools. Lots of them there've been lots of intervention in Rwanda. And you know that although you said you visited yourself, sometimes what is opposition does is you go to a school, you will see like new structures being constructed. The abandoned ones will end up in the social media. That is not good enough. I don't think that we should play politics with the education of our children. If you're a politician, leave schools alone. Even if you're in the opposing party, please contribute positively to the lives of these children. Add value, some form of value. If you're demarketing what government is doing, you're not adding value. Because by demarketing and over demarketing, you might not be able to attract even foreign aid and all aid from other Nigerian conglomerates. So let's just, if you have a complaint, never think that the Ministry of Education or the boards are not aware of it. I keep telling people, if like now we have, like I told you, we have a list of all the schools we need to intervene, the number of blocks recommended by the monitors and all that. If you, as a concerned citizen of that community, want something else done, you can visit the interministerial department or come to us. We'll tell you, okay, this is where your school is placed. If you tell us that maybe the last time we came, something else happened to that building, they could. As I was sitting in that hall, Mr. Daika was calling me because I'd forwarded one of the schools. It's not even on social media. A village head reported that the rain of water took off the roof. He's already calling me to intervene. So if you have something to do, it's not on the faces of the social media and all these platforms. You have the right to walk to the Ministry of Education. The village head now asked me, the village head of Ibiako Urad, asked me that he was in my office. I wasn't even there, I didn't know. But he went there to tender a report of what he experienced. So that's the kind of citizens we want. People that constructively, positively add value to the lives of our children and the schools.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about teacher recruitment and deployment, because I know this is one other thing that the members of the community talked about. So some of them cry out that they don't have enough hands with regards to teachers to cater for the number of students that they have in their schools. And I know that about last year, two years back, the state government had actually put out an examination to employ more teachers. So where are we on the state of things with regards to recruitment and deployment of these teachers?
What I want to say is that recruitment is an ongoing process. And the governor declared that it was why I'm saying using the word declared. It was on air when he said it. It was during a media chat. And he has ordered the board of Subet to employ 1,000 more teachers. That process is ongoing. But I'm calling on the community leaders, be involved. When teachers don't report, because it's like they know you came today, you will come again tomorrow. You might not come in another 2 weeks because of the sheer number of schools. But if they know that the citizens of that community, they're interested in what goes on there. So I'm informing people. I know some teachers now will say, Madam, why did you give us out? We've been querying them and sanctioning them. Some have been demoted. I don't know how to always put it so that the social media, everybody will know. But I'm calling teachers. I'm talking to teachers now. If you're caught again, you'll be sanctioned. And with the new public service rules that is being revised, you'll be sacked sometimes. It's not this one that you'll be queried, you'll be warned. We don't have enough teachers doing what they're supposed to do every day at schools. That's why when you go to the schools, it looks like the teachers are not enough. But most teachers, they will accept the employment, they won't even report. And we found out that those are the things we are tackling. Like I said, they said we use the carrot and stick. If you're not doing well, we'll give you query, we'll give you warning after you'll be booted out. Because we have a lot of people out there that want to be teachers. That you are sitting there, not reporting to school, not teaching, but then they will think there are no teachers. I think we have adequate number of teachers to be on the job and produce good results. But most of them are not there.
So apart from having adequate teachers, because I know that the scale of unemployment in our state and in our nation as a whole, sometimes people actually apply for jobs that they're not qualified for. Mm-hmm. So will you say that we have qualified teachers also who are manning, the dreams of the next generation? The people that are teaching our children in these schools, will they be able to produce the leaders that we hope to have in the next generation?
I want to tell you that in Akwa Ibom State's teaching service, we have well-qualified teachers. What is lacking is commitment and dedication. Private schools they do not have the manpower that is in the public schools. But what makes the difference is the commitment and dedication. Because maybe a private school, the owner is seated there. It's one building, one block. And they are very conscientious and, dedicated. But whatever it is, I need those in the public schools to know that if you are sent to a school at Eastern Obolo and you don't want to go there, it's better you don't accept that appointment than to accept, sit in Uyo, and earn salaries that you're not working for. And I always say it. The Bible says you should do it as unto God. So I'm calling on those teachers that are not giving their all to sit up and do better.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to take a very quick break, and when we return, we'll bring you the rest of the conversation about education in our state with the Honorable Commissioner. Do stay with us. Thank you very much, ma'am. So just before we let you go, we know that cultism has been a spate. We've been experiencing a spate in our secondary schools and even primary schools in our Akwa Ibom State. As the Honorable Commissioner of Education, what would you say is the cause of this turn of events, and what would you say the government is doing to handle this new menace?
I like the fact that you call it a menace. Me, I always call it evil. As government, they've been doing sensitization programs for the children. We go to schools, we tell them the ills of cultism, what it can do to your education. You can drop out. We talk about abuse of drugs because they go together and all that. We do all that, sensitization, counseling, and just advising teachers and all of us in the sector to show more love, even to those ones that look like unlovable. So that's what we do. But I want to tell you that I think from the home front, they should do something. Parents should instill discipline in their children. Try to look out for them more. I know education is free and compulsory, so the tendency to believe that these are government children is there. That's what happens. So you're not involved at all. So I'm asking parents to be more involved in the lives and education of their children. What do they do before they go to school? Pray with them, eat with them. They come back from school, look into their school bags, check their baits, try to go to the school once in a while, ask about, don't I call it evil. Anyone can get into evil. But that's why the Bible says repent. But if your child is like into it a bit, and you are able to intervene, get them back to you, be their friends, you can get to stop a lot of these ills. So I'm calling on parents be more involved. Like what some people do, they will call the neighbor, please check my child or something. Or if you have a nanny, call your nanny's phone, give it to Etum, let me talk to him. That will tell you whether he's home. Please, parents, train these children well. Pray with them. If you check, like where they are, their school bag, their school uniforms, and let me tell you, some of these ones in these nocturnal schools, they have 3-4 uniforms. If you're a dutiful parent, you would have noticed before any other person, except you live in denial. But if you continue to live in denial when you know your child has ventured off the track, the future of that child is what you're joking with.
Wow.
Thank you so
It's
much.
been such a full time and very insightful, I must say. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Making out time to come and answer the questions,
Thank you.
especially about the rural education systems and infrastructure. We really enjoyed our time with you. We hope to have you some of the time to answer some more questions and throw more light upon the government.
Remember, the last thing I will say is community,
Yeah.
village heads, paramount rulers, teachers, especially parents. We need your involvement in the education of our children. And then people around the school community try to look out for what these children are doing. Report them to the teachers and to their parents, especially in the village schools. You know the parents of these children. If you do all this, the reporting, the love showing, the interest in them, I'm telling you, cultism will be far from our children. So if you let go of all those things, you're joking. Oh. Like I said, holy annoyance and frowning is acceptable. Thank you so much.
Thank
God
you so
bless
much, man.
Thank you.
We'll call it a wrap at this time. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, we'll bring you a conversation with one of the chiefs of the local area that we are in. Just stay tuned. Hello and welcome back. This is our discussion on the education infrastructure in Akwa Ibom State. And right now we're about to have a conversation with a statesman in the local government to speak to us about what the local government areas, the villages, are doing about promoting education in their communities. So with me here is Obong Dr. Odudu Bolton, JP, who is a chief in the Biakuran community of Akwa Ibom State. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Very good to have you, sir. Thank you. So today we are discussing about education in our rural communities. And we know that the state government, they have tried their best to make schools available. They've given us free education for our children. They come in and they build schools, they give us desks, they give us boards, they send teachers to teach. But sometimes we hear that within these communities, those property are being vandalized, sir. As a community leader, what do you do in your own community to take care of these kinds of issues?
I thank the Honorable Commissioner for Education for her passion, calling on people to support education. I think it's a good one that she has been making this clarion call. But in our rural areas like this, It's unfortunate that you have people who are going about to vandalize these government properties. We on our own, as the number one, as the indigenous of this place, and also as the chief of this place, are not going to sit back and allow those things to go like that.
Okay, so has it been an issue where this kind of thing has happened in your community? And what did you and the office of the chieftains, what did you do about that particular case?
Like the present one, I've written to the Minister of Education, copied to the Commissioner of Police, and I think they have made some arrests.
Oh wow, that's great. So we know that going forward with all that the state government is doing for us, that we can trust our communities and our community leaders to help us maintain this infrastructure that is brought to us.
Exactly. But one thing is very worrisome: the issue of parents taking care of their children.
That's something that the community, the rural community as chieftains also are doing. Because I believe sometimes we have town hall meetings, we have when we gather the people in our communities to talk to them. Is the community able to talk to the parents in the community?
Yes, we are trying on our own, inviting the parents, going from one church to another to actually address them.
Okay. So this is my last question that I'm going to ask as a community leader. Are you in talks and harmony with other community leaders to make sure that this good that you're doing in Ibiakuran is not just happening here, but other communities can help also in their various communities to make sure that whatever the government does for them stays for long?
I think you have a good, a symbiotic relationship with some of the chiefs around here, and even in some of Quran.
Okay.
There's now people going around to see what we can do to stop all these things.
Will there be any last words that you would like to give before you go?
What I would like to give is that people should regard education as their best investment.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for coming. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
There has been a conversation about education infrastructure in Akwa Ibom State and what the roles of the communities should be. You've heard the Honorable Commissioner for Education give her take on what the government is doing and what the community should do. And here we've had a conversation with a chief of the community. We can do better for the education system in our country to raise better leaders. Thank you for giving us your time on this show this evening. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
Kong, Ukpabio.
Iyayo.
Ukpabio.
Iyayo.
Ukpabio.
Iyayo.